And as he rolls out on the stage, and you all clap for him, it seems like he probably have done a lot of the work for me. But this is an assembly that we did not have on the calendar. This is the product of me and Wade talking over the past few months. If you had told Wade or me that we'd be here today in November under these conditions, I don't think either one of us would have believed it. But I think that's why we're here today, is to hear Wade and have him talk about his experiences. For those of you who don't know Wade, that's 80 plus of you, you've seen him for the first time. I wonder if you're making some assumptions. Here we are gathered to hear from one of our Kiski boys. You might be making some assumptions that we're here to talk to you, or Wade is here to talk to you about his bad decision that he made, about getting into the car with somebody he shouldn't have, about taking a risk that he shouldn't have. And here's another message, guys, it could be you. Be smart. But that's not the way this worked. And I'm not going to tell his story for him. But what I hope you'll hear is a story about the fragility of life, about what it's like to be vulnerable, about how quickly things can turn. I hope you take away, more than anything, perspective. As we sit here in happy Kiski, you go through your daily travels and you have adversity and setbacks, I hope you walk out of here with just a little bit of perspective. So, it's not about me. Wade Hope.
You guys hear me all right? Everybody can hear me? Well, I certainly never thought that I would be back here this soon. That's for sure. I left here 6 months ago. I was planning on coming back here in like a long time, a pretty long time. But it feels good to be back in a familiar place. And as Mr. Shapiro said, if this was not on the calendar, wasn't planned. And I also didn't make a dumb decision, although I made a lot of dumb decisions, so I'm going to endorse those because I guess you'll learn a lot from them, so don't be too safe, I guess. But I was a construction worker in Nevada. As soon as I graduated high school, I got a job out there in Lake Tahoe, and shortly moved out there, and just started my life. I was ready to go. I was really ready to get things rolling and move on from Kiski, kind of just put as much distance between me and here and my familiar life as possible, and just I was looking for an adventure. That's definitely what I found. I was living the dream for a while. I met a ton of great people, moved in with some beautiful girls in Lake Tahoe. As a 19-year-old kid, that's like everybody's dream. Everyone in this room, maybe, I don't know you guys. But yeah, I was working out there. I was ready to go to college, and one day I was being lifted up on a forklift that had a platform on it, and the operator forgot to tie the platform down, and then I fell 18 or 20 feet, and then the platform rolled over top of my back. I broke my back right in the middle. Was paralyzed pretty much instantly. And I remember the whole thing, the entire thing. At first I thought I broke my legs. So okay, broke my legs, not a big deal. Then I reached around and felt my back, and there was felt like there was like a baseball or a shot glass or something underneath my skin. And I was like, oh, didn't break my legs. It was on from there. And then that's pretty much it. That's all I remember. After that, I was life flighted to the hospital in Reno. Was operated on. They had to fuse my spine from maybe right about here to down here. It's metal rods and screws holding it all together now. And from there, that's kind of like it feels like almost the first day of the rest of my life from there. It's kind of like where it all starts, because what happened, it's almost like what happened before then, everything that I did before then, going here, going to Lake Con, all the things that I did, especially the problems that I thought I had, all went away. You know, none of it mattered at that point. All that mattered was like, man, I could have died then, all the things that could have happened, right? Or could have not happened. Maybe that wouldn't have happened at all. Maybe we would have tied it down, I would have gone to work, I would have gone home, I would have been just fine, I would have gone to college, I wouldn't be here. Right? I've played that game so much. I've spent a lot of time laying in a hospital bed, staring at the ceiling, asking myself, what if that wouldn't have happened? Or what if something worse would have happened? There's only one what is, and that's that I'm in a wheelchair and I broke my back and I'm paralyzed, and that sucks, it's terrible. But I can't do anything about it. I can't change it right now. I can't make my legs come back any faster than they already have. Which, thank God, I made some pretty good progress, but I can't control that. It's done. And I guess what I mean by that is you guys can't control a lot of things here, where you're at right now. You have to wear a tie, you have to go to formal dinner, you have to be a waiter, you have to do all these things, right? You can't control them, but you can control what you do while you're being forced to do them, right? You have to go to the hospital every day and do therapy, right? I can control what the attitude I have, that's like the most important thing ever. Even though I was here, that's what I remember, is having to have a good attitude. Things are difficult. It's hard. Things are very hard. I don't think that anyone in here will disagree with the fact that life can be pretty hard. But I think what sets people apart is how well you can do hard things. You can do hard things well, then it'll work out. It'll be fine. And I think a huge part of the way that I've gotten through this is thinking about where I learned how to do hard things really well. That was here. It's like, I know you guys had an open house today. It's funny, I didn't think about this until now, but you probably told people that 85% of the graduates get into the top 2% of colleges in the United States, or something. Maybe that's changed in the past 6 months. I don't know. Or 13% of the athletes here get Division I scholarships, or whatever statistics we have. I know Mr. Ellis tells everybody to say that when you're on a tour, right? I know that's important. It's important that we have smart kids, that are good athletes, and go to good schools at this school, but I would say that the most important statistic is that 100% of you guys can do hard things really, really well. That's the single most important thing ever, because every other boarding school can have good athletes and smart kids, but how many of them can do hard things really well? I don't know. But you guys can do hard things really well. So, there's that. I had that written down in a speech, actually, and that was like the opening, so that's what I remember. And now, kind of flustered with emotion here, so it's difficult. I didn't really know what it was going to be like sitting up here, but it feels good to be here. It feels sometimes being out in the world, and it's a new world for me in a wheelchair. I see things differently. I'm at literally a lower level. It's hard to feel comfortable. Get nervous, get anxious. People try and help me. People try and push me all the time. It's like, my arms aren't broken, like I can push myself. But it's interesting how things like that change. Things change so fast. 6 months ago, I was you guys, right? 6 months from now, I could be something totally different. I don't even have an idea of what that looks like. You guys probably have more of an idea than I do. It's crazy how things change so fast. And it's like, I almost have like whiplash from it still. Like going 100 miles an hour and stopping in 1 second, your eyes pop out. It's crazy. It takes your breath away. And it's so important that you enjoy. I guess might think that it's important to say, enjoy what you're doing in the moment and be happy and do what feels good now. I mean, that's it's like noise. It all goes away. Once something like this happens to you, it all goes away. And once you're cut down at the knees, literally, once life hits you with such a crippling blow, none of that really, it all went away. And my time in Lake Tahoe, it didn't really matter. None of that. After this happened, I was like, man, that was all good and everything, but I have to figure out what to do next. I'm stuck here. And it's so crazy. think that if there's anything that I've learned from this, the most important thing that I want you guys to take away from this is I'm sitting here and this wheelchair holds me back from taking one step forward that is very obvious. Everyone can agree. This holds me back. But there's something that holds everyone in this room back from taking a step forward. We all have a wheelchair of our own. Maybe it's in your mind, maybe it is your legs, but for you guys, you might not be able to see it. It might not be so obvious. It might not be as society would say a disability. The ADA might not have to build a ramp for you, right? But we're all still paralyzed by something. Something holds us back, and we're all disabled by something, even before I was in a wheelchair. All kinds of things. The point is that what disables you and what holds you back, it shouldn't keep you from doing the things that you want to do. It shouldn't hold you back. And that's kind of up to you to not let it do that. Find ways to make sure that what disables you won't hold you back. And that's really the most important thing I can tell you from my experience is that just whatever paralyzes you or whatever puts you in a wheelchair, maybe a theoretical wheelchair, if it's an insecurity, a fear. Maybe for some of you it's like not being able to talk to a girl, or maybe not being able to run your 40-yard dash fast enough. But that's not a good enough excuse for it to hold you back from doing something. I don't think that being in a wheelchair is a good enough excuse to hold me back from doing anything. It's not. I mean, maybe from walking, that's a pretty good excuse, but from doing anything else that I used to do, it's just not acceptable. And that's kind of the choice that I had to make after this happened to me, was that this cannot hold me back at all any longer, because then you get angry about it, and then you resent it. That's what makes people angry. Angry people are held back by something. They're held back by their anger, but what causes that? And for a while, I was so angry at the person who forgot to tie the platform down. Like, he forgot to tie this platform down, my life just got ruined, right? And it fell and rolled over top me and broke my back, and now I'm in a wheelchair. And you can imagine what that's like. But what I had to figure out is that my anger was doing more damage to me than it was to anybody else. So I was laying in bed all day long thinking about how badly I wanted this person to feel my pain. It was not making my pain any better. It wasn't making me feel any better about what had happened to me. What made me feel the best was finally realizing that guy wakes up every day knowing that I might not be able to walk again. That sounds honestly worse than this, because he knows that it's like, how could I have done that? He's all the ways that I'm going through my head, he's doing the same thing, but he's walking around and doing it. And his life might be a whole lot harder than mine. Construction worker, whatever that brings, and he still has to go to the job site and operate the piece of equipment that he hurt me on every day. He's probably doing it now. And he'll do it tomorrow and the next day. And it's not, is it fair for me to be angry at him? Yeah, totally. But it's not going to make my situation any better. And it certainly won't make his any better. So I guess, that anger, it paralyzed me even more. It made the rest of my body paralyzed. It's like I couldn't move anything. And I certainly couldn't move forward because it was holding me back. It was keeping me in one spot. And that was the largest hurdle to get over. Getting over my anger, which I still deal with. It's still hard not to have someone, my dad, Mr. Shapiro, had to carry me up the stairs and keep hauled today. I was like, man, I hate this so much that I cannot even get myself up a set of stairs in under an hour. Like, I could do it. I could slide on my butt or roll or something like that. They saw me try and go down the stairs in my wheelchair, which is pretty scary. But, it's like, that's so, talk about emasculating. That's like the worst, when you think, I can stand up and I'm strong and I'm big and I'm fast and I don't feel any pain, that's kind of how I felt when I was here. I was like Superman, right? That's like how a lot of people feel when they're between the age of 15 and 25. But having to ask for help for little things, hey, can you help me put my shoes on, please? My shoe just fell off and I didn't even notice because I can't feel my foot. Excuse me, ma'am, could you go pick that up for me? Like, it's kind of embarrassing, but You know, it's like, man, things like that change so quickly, and then you're in it. I'm in it. I don't have the choice. I have to do those things. I rely on other people all the time to help me, right? And that's a lesson. You know, it's like I wish that I would have relied on other people more before this happened. I mean, my life would have been a lot better. I don't really have time to play that game with myself, but you know, asking for help is great, and helping people out is great. I've learned so much about how kind people are. Everywhere I've gone, people have been so good to me. And I like to think that it's not because I'm in a wheelchair. Sometimes I think it is, you know, it's like people, it's like, oh, you're in a wheelchair, so I'll help you out. Would you help me out if I wasn't in a wheelchair? I don't know. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. I wouldn't get to know, but it's interesting. It's interesting. So my disability, you can see it. And for some people, there's people in the world now who would do anything to be me, still. And I'm in a wheel, and like this, I don't even want to be me sometimes. Like, there are people now who, they would trade whatever they have, they would trade their legs to have a life like mine, a family like mine, and friends like mine, the opportunity to come to a great school like this and talk to all of you guys, right? There are people who would do anything for that. So I'm really pretty lucky, honestly. I feel pretty good about where I'm at. Although, I mean, I don't feel good about being in a wheelchair and doing all the things I have to do now. I feel pretty good about where my life has led me so far. And I guess I've been alive for 19 years. That's like 7,065 days. 19 years. I had one really bad one. One really bad one. That's like what it boils down to. And that's like how I feel now. Before I came in here, into this room, I was thinking of what I was going to tell you guys and what I was going to say that might help you or impact you a little bit, but I can't really, I mean, that's just one bad day in my entire life. Think about all the days that you guys have lived. You know, I'm not saying that you take things for granted. You guys definitely don't do that. I still do it, but, you know, it's not that people don't take things for granted, they just don't realize how good something was until they don't have it. It's not like they can't really put that on themselves, but it's good to be me still. It still feels good to have a family that loves me and friends that care, and to have an audience of like 200 plus people to listen to me talk about whatever I'm talking about. You know, that's great. And there are people, I'm a lucky guy. I'm really lucky to have been here, to have known all you guys, to have been a part of this place, and to still be a part of it. I'm seriously lucky, and I feel really good about it. I feel great. I couldn't be more happy that I've gone here. And I didn't really feel that way when I was here until like my last 2 months. The last 2 months that you spend here will be the most important ones ever, the most memorable ones. All the memories that you make that are like real and really important, like the last 2 months of your time. And that's what I think about when I'm sitting up here. Is that freshman year was okay, and my sophomore year, I don't really have any vivid memories of those times that are notable. But the last 2 months, that was when it happened for me. That was when I realized, man, I'm so excited to get out of here and start my life, and I made all these great friends. And I was so focused on moving on, move. Interesting. You put emphasis on the word move. There's no really moving on. I can't move on from this. This is like a carry-on thing, right? You're not going to move on from your time at the school. You're going to carry on. You're going to carry all the things that you learned, all the experiences you had, all the friends you made. You'll carry it on. You won't move from it. You're not moving necessarily anywhere. Maybe your body is, but your mind will always take you back there. I'm now back at the place where my legs probably did their best work. It's almost like commemorating them. This is for my legs. If they had a mind of their own and they could talk, this is for them. Like they did awesome stuff here. Or they did pretty cool stuff here, I guess. You know, they walked around and did leg stuff. It's funny when you feel your own legs, you don't really think about that. Man, my legs are. You just tell them to move, and they move, and that's what they do. But that's what this is for. If anything, I'm sure some of you guys, especially you who don't know me too well, are probably wondering what I could possibly tell you that you don't know, because I just left here 6 months ago. I don't really know what I can tell you that you don't know. I can share with you an experience that I've been through that has seriously changed my life and my family's life. And I'll never be happy that it happened. I'll never be happy this happened to me. but I'll be happy that I got through it. And if you are never, if you go through something, you can go through terrible things, and you can be upset about them happening. I'm upset that it happened. But you should never look back and be disappointed at the way that you went through something. You should always be graceful, be tough, be strong, be as smart as you will let yourself be. And that's how you carry on. That is how you carry on. There's no moving on. Wish that there was. If I had a choice, I would run away from this crying like a little kid. I would be like, I'm good, no thank you. I don't want to be tough today or brave or strong or any of that. No thanks. But I just wasn't really given the choice I had. I was put in a position where I had to do those things and had to carry on. I'm not really happy about that, but I'm happy that I did. And I think that once you guys are done with your time here, you'll look back. It'll be a little bit different than this. It's obviously not the same, but you will be happy at the way you carried on. You'll be really happy that you carried on. And you'll be happier for knowing that than anything else. Everything else will seem kind of small. And that's a big thing. I never really thought about that way, exactly. Getting a lot of on-stage inspiration currently. A lot of I'm really just so happy to be here and feel comfortable around people that know me and people who care. And people who knew me when I could stand up. It is interesting. All the friends that I've met in the past 3 months will not know what it's like to walk next to me. Or they might not know what it's like to take a step next to me. And that's pretty crazy. Never standing up next to a friend. Never, knowing someone who doesn't know anything about me in a wheelchair. Or standing up, sorry. It's interesting. The wheelchair is so funny. It's just an object. Just wheelchairs. It's just an object. That's it. Doesn't have a mind, but it's almost like a person. Like, I hate you, Mr. Wheelchair. I don't like you at all. But wait, I need you. Please come back, right? Like as it's rolling away from me on my slanted shower floor. I need you, right? Like there are things like that where I don't want to like you, but you are the closest thing I have to freedom. Talking about Mr. Wheelchair here. It's funny how that happens. And how sometimes people, when they meet me, they'll stare at me for being in a wheelchair. They're not staring at me. I look like a pretty normal guy. There's nothing growing off the side of my face. I'm in a wheelchair. People will stare at me. We've all done it. Everyone's done it. I did it before this happened to me. I was staring at people in wheelchairs, and I was wondering, what happened to you that put me in this wheelchair? Oh man, that person, their foot won't stop twitching, or I never thought to myself that I would know that the reason why that person's foot is twitching is because of dysreflexia, which I have, and now I know something about it. I know way more about that stuff than I ever wanted to. So it's almost like, man, serves you right, Wade, for staring at them. But it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Not everybody does it. But what I found was that people are curious. When they're staring at me, they're curious about what happened to me. What happened to you? That's it. They just want to know. It's like I would sometimes stare at people and it's like, oh, what happened to you? I don't know, right? Maybe I should ask. People, it's more about them. It's funny how that happens. And it sucks because sometimes people will meet my wheelchair before they'll meet me. And that will either that will keep them from engaging me. They will say, oh, well, that was in a wheelchair. Maybe he's fragile. I won't touch him. Not going to break my legs, But, so that's good. So yeah, it's funny people in my wheelchair it's almost like a person. Mr. Wheelchair. Pleased to meet everyone who stares at me, right? If I found that I engage some person, it ends up not being a problem at all. But it's something I never ever thought about. Man, I never looked at my own disabilities before, things that held me back, or things I was insecure about, or things that kept me from taking a step forward, theoretically. And that's something I know we can all do that better now. Even I can do it. I can recognize it better now for myself. What really holds me back? Does it hold me back that I'm in pain, or am I just telling myself I'm in pain because I don't want to be put in a situation where I'm anxious or uncomfortable again. That's what happens to people who are on the wheelchair sometimes. I've seen a lot of people who that happens to, and they will let it consume their life. And it's just really sad to see that happen. It's sad to know that I was at one point a part of that. I stared at people and I was like, oh man, I had no idea. I was just curious about what happened to you. And that's kind of what it's like to be in a wheelchair. It's kind of what it feels like a little bit. But I do have a favor to ask all of you before we finish up here. I might have some questions for you guys now. But when you're going back to your dorms tonight, or when you're walking around through the day, every single day, for as long as you care to take this advice from me, think about walking. Just think about everything that it takes to put into a step. And don't walk too fast, because then you might miss some things. Don't be in too much of a hurry. And understand that walking isn't that great if you don't have anybody to walk next to. And standing isn't that great if you don't have anything to stand for. And running is cool and everything. I would really like to. But running isn't that great because you might miss something. So don't be in too much of a hurry. Walk next to the people that you love and stand for things that you really believe in. Because when something bad happens to you and the world crashes down, those are the things that matter the most. And it's not so much about where you walked or how you walked. It's more about who you walked with and what you stood for. So that's what I got. I could think of that. That was pretty good. There's not really an ending because it's not over. It's never over. So is there any questions, Cam?
What's motivated you through the whole rehab and everything?
That's a great question. Actually, I think about that all the time. Why am I still doing this? At first, I thought it was because I was just moving on. And I never really had, until I was at dinner this evening, like 30 minutes ago, I never really had the whole carry-on epiphany. But that makes a whole lot of sense to me now. And it's something I kind of figure out every single day as I go along. I learn new things all the time. I've learned, like, there are a bunch, it's like, I learn different things all the time. But a particular story comes to my mind about a lady who I was in the hospital with. Her name was Jane. She was like 65 or 70 maybe. And she was hit by a semi-truck. And she was paralyzed. And she was the happiest person ever. Is the happiest person. She is great. She's awesome. And she is hurt way worse than I am. And she's older. She has all these other problems on top of that. But she was always more concerned with me than she was with herself. Just seeing her in the therapy room or in the hallway of the hospital, she wasn't. I saw her husband, who was there every single day, and he would always wear a tie to the hospital. And I asked him one time, why do you wear a tie to the hospital? He said, because I am so happy to be around my wife. I'm so happy she's alive. That's worth dressing up for. It's like, man, that is so cool that happened. And things like that kind of motivate me. Hearing things like that push me, because it's like, it could be so much worse for myself. Stuff like that, I kind of find it something to motivate me every day. Something is different. Always change. Tomorrow going to therapy, seeing you guys might motivate me. All these things. It all kind of plays a part. Anybody else? Any other questions? There's got to be some little ones. No? I don't know. That was a good question. No questions? Charlie, one question.
Does it ever make you mad when people Does it ever make you mad when people stereotype you before meeting you because of the wheelchair?
Kind of. Well, at first it did. People would stare at me and they'd be like, man, I had one person say, I'm trying to understand you people, and it's like, oh, God, you people. What, am I like an alien? But not really. If anything, I'm a really engaging person, and I always have, and you guys all know me, I'm very engaging. I live my conversation. No, really, it's just an opportunity for me to reach out to them, because they're really just curious. No one looks at you and says, I hate you for being in a wheelchair, or I am prejudiced against it. People don't do that. So I kind of just try and rise above that a little bit. It can be uncomfortable sometimes, and I can get pretty anxious. But I just always go back to thinking, that person's held back by something too. And maybe what I tell them about me, maybe they need to know that or need to hear it. So that's kind of, it's a good question. Anybody else? Go for
How's
it.
your progress been so far?
Well, so far, and I didn't really tell you guys exactly about my injury. So I broke my back at the T12 level. Everybody who's taking anatomy, that's like your thoracic spine in the bottom of it. And I had a fusion from T11 to L1, and that's where the rods and the screws are. And at first they said my spinal cord was completely injured, and that I didn't have any feeling from my belly button down, couldn't move anything. And then my legs started to wake up a little bit. And they said, oh, well, you might walk. Again, we're not making any promises, maybe. And then the progress kind of flatlined. And they said, no, probably, no, it's not going to happen. And then my legs started to move again a little bit. So now I can move this one like this. My right one's still a little weak, but I can, kind of tap dance. That's pretty much it. With a walker and some leg braces, I can walk pretty well. It's just so slow. Being in a wheelchair is a little faster. But yeah, I'm still working at it every day, getting a little better every day. So, go ahead.
How do you see your future?
How do I see my future? Well, it's kind of a funny question because if I were sitting there 6 months ago and you were sitting here, I thought my future was pretty for sure. I was going to go work in Lake Tahoe, have an awesome time, do a ton of unspeakable stuff, and then I was going to go to college, and then I was going to live the life, and I was not going to come back and talk to you guys. That was how I would have seen my future about 6 or 8 months ago. But now, I'm gonna try and go to school. I'm going to go to school, but I really don't know what it's gonna be like, and I'm totally okay with that. Before I would get anxious about not having a plan, and that's really easy to do when you're young and the world's so big and there's so much out there. But it is super okay not to know what's gonna happen. Maybe more okay than knowing. Not knowing can be pretty cool sometimes. And that's when, if you don't know what you're looking for, you won't know. You don't know what you'll find. So that's kind of how I'm diving into it. But I'm all in. So whatever it is, whatever's next, I'm 100% into it. That's it. Good answer. What's that?
So do you live now like back in Pennsylvania or in?
Well, I'm from Ohio originally. Kind of a geographical plot twist there. Sorry about that. But I'm actually in Atlanta, Georgia, at a spinal rehab center. I've been there since August. Anybody else? Nothing from this side of the room or this side of the room? Yeah. What qualities have I found in myself? Patience is the most important one. Waiting for your legs to wake up. Like nothing you can do, no amount of therapy or like electrocution or like stimulation or anything will make my legs move faster than I want. They won't. It's just time, just waiting. So patience, I would say. I've been put in a position where I have to be patient, have to be. And that kind of goes back to Charlie's question about how do I feel when people will stereotype me for being in a wheelchair. I just have to be patient because they don't. How could I ever expect anybody to know what it's like to be in a wheelchair or know what it's like to be stared at? I just have to be patient with them. I have to be patient with everybody around me because they're not going to know what it is like or how that feels. So patience is really big, and patience is something I didn't have a lot of before. I wanted things to happen right away, and normally they did. So patience is good, and I've really learned a lot about my ability to manage pain. I never really thought I was that good at it. So you kind of don't really know how much pain you can take until you're taking it. That was always interesting. But patience is important. Yeah.
Have you talked to the guy that forgot to cut on the forklift since the accident?
No, I haven't. He called me when I was in intensive care, and I don't really remember intensive care. It was like a blur. I had a morphine drip. I was pressing that button as often as they would let me. So I really did. There's like 3 weeks of my life that are like missing. So I know that he did then. but since then I haven't heard from him. I don't have his phone number. Eventually I would like to talk to him and just see how he's doing.
What would you say to him if you could talk to him?
You know, I'd probably just say that it's okay. I would just say that it's okay, because for a lot of people, they just need to know that I'm okay. You know, sometimes people will stare at me and they'll be like, oh, they won't really know what to say. There'll be like a stalemate in the conversation, and I almost know what they're thinking. Like, they feel so sorry for me, they feel so bad, but it's okay. And I would probably just tell them that it's, like I told you, it's a carry-on thing. You're never gonna move on from this, but I want you to carry on, and I want you to move on with your life, and I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be okay. That's probably what I would tell them. Anyone else? Yeah.
How often do you ask yourself the question, why?
A lot. All the time, actually. I was asking myself that question when I pulled onto campus, actually. Why me? This is not how I imagined my next coming back to Kiski. I ask myself that question a lot. And that's kind of something that I deal with. It's like some days it's really bad, and I'll be really down and really sad about it. But an interesting way that I've learned to deal with it, when I can't do something or go out and do something, I'll create a character in my mind, and I'll like write a little story about it in my head of that character doing whatever it is that I can't do anymore. It's kind of interesting, which isn't something I might have done before. But I ask myself the question, why me, all the time. But it's interesting because you never ask yourself the question, why me, when things are so good. When things were so good for me, I never said, why me? Why is this so awesome for me? I always said, well, why can't I have more? That's what I said before. So now I kind of just, and I also never thought about that until right now either. So thank you for asking that question. But instead of asking why me when things are bad, start asking why me when things are good. And maybe I'll find some clarity. But I ask myself that a lot to answer your question. Yeah. Anybody? Yeah.
Hey, wait.
Okay.
You're a pretty active guy, as I recall.
Yes.
Just like a lot of these guys in the room. And now I imagine that physical therapy takes up a lot of your time.
It does.
Aside from your physical therapy, have you gone back to any of your old hobbies or picked up any new things that you like to do?
You know, I really, for my physical therapy, drains me a lot. I sleep a lot. I have trouble sleeping at night, so I try during the day I sleep quite a bit. But started reading a lot more, and I read quite a bit here, and I like to do that. Swimming, which I haven't been able to do the whole time because of the incision in my back. But swimming is going to be good for me. It's going to be great. It's like in water, it doesn't matter how much you weigh or really how much your legs work. You can just kind of float. That sounds good to me. I haven't really had a chance to seriously try it out, but it sounds pretty awesome. And there are all kinds of things that I've been looking into and thinking about. I really don't hope or plan on. I don't think I belong in a wheelchair. I'm not sure that's my destiny. I'm really going to do everything I can to get out of it. But in the event that I am wheelchair bound, I'd really like to get into like wheelchair racing. That's a thing. Now, I mean, it's still a thing. I still go as fast as I can all the time now. But I thought of doing something like pushing my wheelchair across the country sounds so cool to me. Just because that sounds awesome. Maybe raising some money for something. I don't know. It just sounds good. Doing that sounds awesome. So maybe I'll get into that. Besides that, honestly, I've really kind of just been, when I'm not doing therapy, I've been kind of lazy. I hate to admit that, but yeah. So, but I still try and stay active up here. Anybody else? Yeah.
What do you think has changed most about you since your injury?
Well, I think that most of the guys that I went to school with, I was always a really caring guy, but I had a way of sometimes being like, I could say things that made people so bad sometimes, but or I could just say some things that are really funny, but it's pretty bad. Like everybody laughs, but it's like, oh, I shouldn't laugh. That's bad. Like it could be on like Comedy Central, like 1 a.m, maybe, like really bad humor, really bad language, right? Something like that. So I've kind of gotten better about that. And what's also changed, I've become a lot more patient. I've really slowed things down. I mean, I've been literally forced to sit down in my life and listen to things. Like, I can't. My dad likes to play guitar, loves to play guitar, and sometimes it's really irritating. Or he loves to make me laugh, and sometimes he'll make me laugh by like saying something so dumb until it's funny. So like, I'm forced to sit down and listen to that, and I just cannot get away because I can't stand up and run away. And like, I couldn't, and if I tried to roll away, you could just hang onto the back of my wheelchair. Oh no. But yeah, I've just gotten so much more patient, and I've become a lot better at listening. And listening to things, listening to people, listening to what they're telling me instead of what I want them to tell me. Because I've heard a lot of things that I did not want to hear in the past 3 months. So I've gotten a little better at listening, really patient. And just thinking, focusing. I have to focus so much now. Just to get my leg to move like that, I have to think